Hey y'all, come on in. Welcome back. See if I can get y'all in place. This video series is going to be, I have to leave y'all back a little bit for this one. This video series is going to be on a belt. So I want you to be able to see as much as what I'm trying to get for you. I don't have a good enough camera and stuff. I've got an order here for a belt. I've got a pant size, not the waist size. And I'm going to really emphasize this. If you take a measurement for a belt, do not ask what someone's waist size is. Number one, you may get punched if it's for a lady. Number two, whatever the style pants they wear, slacks, jeans, whatever, they're going to have added measurements in them. But what somebody's actual physical, if you took a tape measure and went around their actual waist, you're going to find when they put a pair of pants on, it's going to be about 2 inches of difference. So you want to get your pant size, your pant waist size. In this particular instance, I was fortunate enough, this is a co-worker, wants to make a belt for her husband, kind of a surprise. He knows he's getting a belt, but he doesn't know what all we're going to do to it. So this is what I do when I'm talking. Again, I go back to my wife Judy and I. We try to make items that are one of a kind. You will not reproduce this ever again. You're just not going to be able to. You're not physically going to be able to. And that's what we try to do. So I've got, she wants a last name on it. Got a last name of Calvert. He likes a Western style. His favorite color is blue. These are the questions that I ask. I try to learn someone's style, what their favorite color is. Where am I going to go with this idea? What kind of pattern? He does like a Western style, so I've got a craft aid. I'll show you that in just a second. A little bit of a Western style, not cowboys and Indians Western style. But it's got, the pattern is, I think, oak leaves and acorns, which is kind of Westerny. So I've got that. And I've got the pant size. I didn't know how far I was going to try to go with this video, simply because when you're doing a layout, something like this, what I decided to do, since his favorite color is blue, I'm going to do a style that's called a filigree. And Judy told me how to spell it last night, but I forgot.
F-I-L-I-G-R-E-E. F-I-L-I-G-R-E-E.
And she said F-I-L what?
F-I-L-I-G-R-E-E.
Okay, something like that. But basically what it means is after we tool it, I'm going to be coming in and I'm going to be cutting out the background. This is a pretty involved. I've been trying to demonstrate in my earlier videos getting started here of helping someone I've been trying to help someone who wants to start doing this as a hobby. So in the previous videos, I'm 65 now. I've been doing this since the 8th grade. So a long time. But this is my mental yoga for the brain, as I call it, my escape. So I decided I'm not going to try to tool anything on this video just because of what may be the length of it on how to do a layout. I'm trying to figure out how to do this where I can get all of it on camera for you. Those 42 inches. I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see. So I'm going to raise you up. And see if I can back you out a little bit. Well, I can get nearly all of it in, maybe. I'm doing this because I want you to try to be able to see as much as you can. So, okay. And once again, turn these things off. You don't need them for now. Just turn them off for a couple hours. I don't like to be interrupted. This is my time. This is my space. Let's see. So what we're going to do, I'm going to try to get all of this in that I can. Now this is a blank. This is a belt blank. And once again, I'm using one of these so I can show what you can buy from Tandy Leather. These belt blanks, they come different lengths. But when you get one, they come with the tongue for the buckle already cut in it, and they come with the snaps already put in. So when you put your buckle in, all you have to do is close it and snap it, and you're good to go. What I've already done is I've already shaved this edge off a little bit. It's called an edging tool. It's a very sharp blade that you just, when these things are cut out of a side of leather, they're just raw cut. They're just squared off edges. The edges are not finished. So I come in with an edging tool. And I'll just run it down the sides of it. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you're going to be rolling the edges up on. When I get ready to, after I get it tooled and ready to finish, then I'll demonstrate that for you on what I did. I just did it now. I just like to do it at the very beginning. So I've got 42-inch, I'm going to call it a waist size now. But if you see up here on the tongue of it, it's already been curved. Now if I were to cut this blank out of one of my sides of leather, then this would just be squared off as well, or however the form of the side of leather is. So I would have to come in and do this. I would have to punch the holes for the snaps, and I would have to punch the holes for the buckle tongue to go through. I have all of the tools to do that, but I'm trying to explain to the new ones, the beginners, what you can buy without having to purchase all of that extra stuff. I'm doing kits right now at the beginning. Hopefully I can demonstrate that you don't need to spend a whole lot of money to make your first projects. I just got through finishing a wallet. If you're interested in that, I'll go into a little bit more detail on it. If you want to search for Ricky's Wallet Part 1, that's where that series starts. But as much as going to be involved in this one, it's going to be probably maybe a 4 or 5 part series. So I'm going to try to break it up so it's not going to be so long. All right, we've got 42 inches. So what I'll do is I'll come up here where the tongue of the belt is. I will not go all the way out to the very end of it. I'll come in as if it's still squared off. And then I'll go down the length of it. Oh, I hope you can see this. Let me bend back out of the way a little bit. But I'll go down the length of it 42 inches. And that's going to be my center hole. That's where we're going to start. So I'm going to mark it at 42 inches. I use a pencil. That's just my preference. On a dry piece of leather that's not sealed, you can recover those pencil marks fairly easy. So now that I've got 42 inches, turn this another way. It's going to be my 42 inches, my center hole right there. And I'll come off the end of it, and I'll come into 7 inches. And that again is going to be my center hole. What I'll do is I'll come to it and I'll go out 7 inches to the end of it. If they like a longer tongue, this is also a tongue. If they like a longer tongue, then you can go longer out here. However much they want to come out the end of the buckle. Usually I've found about 7 inches for most guys have been sufficient. Now he wants, or she wants their last name put in it. So to center up the name now, I'm going to come back up here. Now this is where you need to really watch. This part here is going to get folded under. It's going to disappear. However, based on whatever buckle they want to put on here, where this actually latches in on the tongue of that buckle, it's going to be another 1.5 to 2 inches. I've seen buckles that'll go out there a pretty good ways. So you want to take that into consideration, but you want to measure to get your center for your name. You want to come into roughly the center of where this is already pre-cut. 42 divided in half is going to give me 19. So you can see we're in the ballpark of 19. I'm not exactly 19. Because when I come from my center hole now, this is how you're centering your name. I'm 19 1/4 that way. I'm about 19 1/2 that way. I do a ballpark on it, all depending on what kind of pants they wear, how thick they are around the waist. This is going to shift one way or the other. The size of their buckle, it's going to vary. So I'll give it about 1/2 inch one way or the other. Then where the buckle is actually going to go through, this was my 42-inch mark. On 1-inch increments, I'm going to put 2 holes in towards the center of the belt, 2 holes out. Now doing the filigree, since I'm going to be cutting out every bit of that background, I'm not going to cut into this area here just because I don't know how that pattern is going to lay where these holes are going to be punched. And the very last thing you want to do is go through all of this effort of cutting it and tooling it and getting it ready for your buckle holes down here. If you're doing the filigree style, if it's not a filigree and you've got a solid backing all the way, then it ain't a big deal. But I want my pattern to stop about right here. I gave it 1 inch off of that last hole. So my pattern, in essence, depending on, I'll tool the name in first. I'll use these stamps. Depending on where the name stops, out here past the center of the name, I'll go probably about 1 inch past it, and that's where my pattern is going to resume, and then it'll go down to about here. It's going to vary person to person. We don't all have the same size waistline. So you just have to, that's the reason why I'm not going to do anything further than this. I just wanted to give you folks an idea of how I do a layout. Everything that's gone through my mind to get to this point to where I've started laying, or actually got my idea of what I'm going to do with this belt. You can go as simple, it's like any of the other projects in my other videos, simple or as elaborate. My customer's wife has given me pretty much free reign here, so this can go a lot of ways. But I've got the basics of what he wants. Now these are craft aids. These are made out of plastic. It's smooth on one side, and on the other side it's got a raised. You can feel it when you run your finger over it. They generally will come with 2 different thicknesses on each pattern. This is a 1 inch and 1 3/4 inch belt. What I'm also going to do on this particular belt is I'm going to come back in, I'm going to highlight the center, and when we get to that stage I'll show you how I'm going to do that. But this is going to have a dark border that's going to go all the way around it. all the way. So what I'm going to do is I'll come in once I get everything colored, tooled, and ready. Pretty much towards the end of things. And I'm going to come back in with this light tan lace. And I'm going to stitch around the entire length of the belt. Not the entire length, I'll end up here. Since the buckle end of it's going to be folded under, I won't go past, may go a little ways past where the pattern design is, but not very far. It's just, you know, it's unlimited. But for this customer, that's what I'm going to be doing. Now, since I am going to have a border on this one, this is a 1 3/4 blank. So if you were not intending to have a border, then you'd use the 1 3/4 side, and you'd lay it down. Now you have to wet your pattern before you can put this on. But what I'll do with it, and once I start getting ready to do that, then I'm going to do the name first, so I know what kind of room I'm dealing with for the pattern itself. That's just me. That's how I do it. I do the name first, get it centered, and then I work out from there. Because out here you have more room. You can go over, under, however much you want to. And then I've also decided down here on the tongue of the belt, since this is going to be solid from, say, about where my thumb and that pencil mark is here, all the way out to the tip of it, I'm going to take my basket weave tool, and I'm going to also go in and do a basket weave pattern all the way out that won't go all the way through the leather. That way I've got material. It's not going to matter what's behind where these holes get punched in. I'm not going to go into an empty blank that's been cut out. But to get to this point, to go through all of my ideas, what I want to do, what he likes, how am I going to lay it out. I didn't show much of that simply because it took about 2 days for me to go through all of this in my head and get my idea of what I wanted to do. Now you'll get some customers that are very specific on what they want. They don't want any of this stuff. They want their name only. Okay, it's a plain belt with a name in it. What do they want? And then I'll take it from there. But in this case, like I said, she's I have just about free reign within a certain his color and stuff of that, of what I want to incorporate into this belt. But that's the fun of it. I've been just getting it to this point just this evening was probably about 2.5 hours. And that hadn't bothered me a bit. Just a way for this how I get rid of my day. All right, with that, as always, Judy and I like to ask that don't be mean to others. Ask yourself before you say or do something to someone else. If you're not willing to treat Jesus that way, then let's not treat each other that way. And in the next video, part 2, we'll actually put the name in. And once I know where that's going to go, then we'll then we'll figure out how much of the pattern. I'll show you on those. If you come to the end or something like that, I'll show you what to do with that. So with that, this is going to be part one. We've got our belt laid out. We know what we're going to do with it. And in part two, we'll get it started. And with that, see you next time.